I am a huge believer in additional profit centers for your restaurant or hospitality operation. You can't have too many profit centers. And what's one of the best ones? Catering. Whether you have an existing catering program now or you want to start a catering program, my guest today is Elias, and he is with Rally Catering. And we're talking about a digital catering service, something that will be turnkey for your business. It's all about capturing all the catering orders, keeping everything organized and everything right at your fingertips so that you don't miss the fine details that lose you catering business. Okay. It's all about systems, and this is a system. So listen on. You're not going to want to miss this. This is a very, very powerful platform, and I'm really excited to learn about it, and you will be too. On with the episode. This is really, really cool. Now, you've got an amazing platform, and we're going to dive into all that. But beforehand, you get your finger on the pulse of what's happening in the dining scene. What are guests seeking today in these crazy times? And what are their expectations? And how do we stay relevant as an operator?
It's a good question because times have absolutely changed. And if you want to go back even just a few years, but you could go back half a decade. But what we're seeing guests wanting, and I mean, I'll lean a little harder into the catering space, but there's a distinguished difference between what guests want for a sit-down restaurant versus for a catering experience. But in general, there's a certain level of reliability and service. And when I say service, I'm not just talking about the relationship and whatnot, but I'm actually talking about the quality of how things are delivered, how guests end up feeling. And that's something that is kind of elevated because guests today, they have choice, whether they're doing a restaurant, takeout, a dine-in, or a cater, they have choices. With catering, it's a little bit different because typically with catering, you're ordering for a large group of people, and what you're looking for kind of shifts from, hey, I want more choice and more fusion and more interesting things that I can kind of mold and modify to my liking, to, hey, I need something that people are going to love, that there's 30, 100, 200 people relying on me to make this order. They're going to love it, and no one's going to get in trouble because of their, meal preferences. It's reliable, it's on time, it's going to be the right quantity, and that's kind of the shift. So that's what we're seeing.
Good to know. So catering, excellent additional profit center for restaurant. I did catering in multiple concepts that I had, and it was a real benefit to our business. Now, what if a restaurant has not yet started a catering program? What's your best advice to start, and just start with the basics before we get into any technology? Like, there's a system behind this. What would you say
Yeah.
your best advice is there?
Yeah, that's, you know what, you kind of said something that's really important. Yes, technology is kind of the backbone of what we do, but technology is at the end of the day, the tool behind the operation, behind the system. So the question you asked is bang on. So what I would say for restaurant getting into it or doing it, but doing it not at scale yet, is to start simple, because a lot of operators we see overcomplicated. So you already have a kitchen, you have a team, and possibly a handful of orders that you do per week. So the barrier isn't really like, can we cook? Can we make the food for groups? It's, can we take orders without creating the chaos? So really there's three things that we see are key at the beginning. The first is to pick a menu, but not the full menu. And that's one of the mistakes that we see is, hey, here's, 100 items you could order from, but instead focus to 8 to 12 catering items that are friendly, they travel well, they can scale easily, and they represent you best, right? You don't want to sacrifice that. The second thing is setting the rules. Now, this is it often gets dismissed, but your minimums, your lead times, delivery radius, cutoff times, it's easy earlier on to be like, hey, I'll do anything for anybody and all of that. But these actually protect the operation, because without them, the order becomes a negotiation every single time, and you end up saying yes to stuff that actually hurts the operation. The third is to make it orderable, which means be able to put that out there on your website and give people a very clear path to place that order. That's not, hey, call us within this 2-hour window during the day, but that's, hey, if you want to order catering, this is the path. And it needs to be very easy, publicly known, and obvious.
That's a really good point. My first thought going back is not every restaurant's kitchen and staffing is up to certain challenges, especially when it's a busy Saturday, say. But then someone goes and they order something online. It's like, what is the balance so that you don't mess up in-house dining service while you got your team putting together a catering order, right? That's a real challenge, or it can be.
Oh, it absolutely can be. And this is where the rules play a big part. Because if you are an operation that can't handle the intersection of a catering order that's coming in last minute on top of a busy rush time, then you need to set the rules to say, hey, I need to get my orders at least 48 hours in advance. And that's okay. You could kind of adjust that as you go. But once you have advance notice on your catering orders, you can start to manage a lot better. So when you get those in advance, then you can organize your kitchen and your operation to get those prepped and get those out the door in between the busy times that you know your kitchen's going to be jammed for their lunch rush or whatnot.
You recommend that a business perhaps starts by just preparing orders for pickup, like in large pans or whatever it is, versus, okay, now I got to go deliver it or I got to cook it on site. Like that's a whole nother animal. And, people are doing things differently. But doesn't that overly complicate it if you put a catering program together and then suddenly people want you to be at a certain place at a certain time with so much food to feed so many people, but you're still trying to run your restaurant? There's a balance there too.
Oh, 100%, Roger. And the scalability. So one of the key things that restaurants that want to get into catering can trip up on earlier on when they're like, hey, I want to get into catering, but I'm going to use my existing operation, is they don't consider the scalability factor. But it's a mistake to let that be a blocker for catering. So you don't want to say, hey, I don't want to touch this because I can't scale at it as I am. So having a plan for saying, hey, I'm going to go and dip my feet into this, but do it properly, hit those foundational components, I have the capacity to do 5 catering orders per week. And these are the criteria. So I'm going to build that into my offering. And if that is something that I see that works, that goes well, then here's my plan to expand, to scale. I'm going to actually have a team. I'm going to need to have, people that are going to go do the delivery or do the on-site setup. And I'm going to need to buy some more equipment because you're absolutely right. When you're setting things up on site, you're going to need different things. You're going to actually have to even modify potentially the food that you're going to deliver and the type of menu that you're going to offer.
Your typical investment up front, I mean, if you can even throw that out there, because again, based on the size of the operation, it's all going to vary. But I mean, you need chafing pans and you need, holding ovens and you need, things to keep the product warm and you need things to help it travel to a location or whatever it is, right? Is there a certain budget that you might recommend somebody start with?
Yeah, you know what? If I answered that question, it's going to vary so much.
I thought,
So the listeners are going to say, someone's going to say, that's totally not right. And because some people can do it minimally, depending, like if you're a Mexican or barbecue, or there's certain types of cuisines that kind of can travel a bit better. Or if your offering is actually prepackaged, the prepackaged offering, then you're going to have a different type of setup than something that you got to go set up on site. And both of those still can create catering margins and count as good catering business, but they come with totally different budgets.
I'm sure that that's true. And I should have anticipated that answer. But the bottom line
Yeah,
is, if you do things correctly, it is a profitable thing to do. And it is an addition to your existing business.
correct.
It's also a
Correct.
brand building and a loyalty builder. And when people love your food and your cuisine, and they know that they can not only come into your restaurant, eat it on site, but now they have a private party and here it is. I want that cuisine for that. So excellent. Excellent.
That's right. But Roger, I want to give the listeners a little something. If they want to find the answer to that question,
Yeah.
I'm going to assume that a lot of listeners have some kind of an AI chatbot, and that's a great AI chatbot question. And it's not going to give you the exact answer, but I'm just throwing it out there. It's a good question to say, hey, I want you to act like a restaurant guru in catering and tell me what is my upfront investment. Here's a bit of information on my setup, and then you'll get a ballpark. But I mean, it comes down, you got to talk to real professionals if you want to go further than that. But that's just a little tip.
I think we're all doing a little bit of that. Some of us are doing a lot.
Yeah.
Just going to chat and just typing something in and And it's remarkable how technology is, and AI especially is moving forward. You mentioned you started to talk about certain cuisines that travel best or are best suited for catering. Why don't we talk about some of those things in your experience? What works the best?
I mean, a restaurant's not going to go and change their entire cuisine to do catering, but within their cuisine, like there's some cuisines that are naturally good at traveling and packaging. Mexican, Italian, Mediterranean, and barbecue are some of those that do naturally really well.
Yeah.
So like grain bowls, tacos, burritos, pasta baked sandwiches, those are things that travel well and they hold. But I mean, the more important point is the structure of how those cuisines are packaged and of the menu. So I mean, I've seen sushi restaurants do really well, for example, because they build a clear boxed lunch program. And I've also seen sandwich shops struggle because they include all of their customizations for their sandwiches in their catering offering, and that just ends up hurting production rhythm because you can't really have a rhythm when you can do 25 different variations of one food item.
Yeah, so simple is best and standardization is important. That's a good point to make as well. What
Yeah.
talk about the details because there's so many details to running a restaurant and then to get the catering details right. Like what are the important details to stay on top of? Because obviously you want to keep your customers happy, you want to keep them coming back for more, you want great online reviews, but it's like you drop one of those details and it messes up the whole thing. Like what
Yeah.
are those key points to keep in mind? Work with some of the best minds in the business, in the restaurant space. Amy Oikel and I are putting together an operator mastermind, operators just like you, solving today's most pressing operating challenges. We're going to be talking about labor, shrinking margins, big needle movers, leadership, accountability, and getting the most out of your operation. Meet twice a month, and we're going to talk all about the things that matter most for your business. You'll have a chance to talk about your personal challenges. You're going to hear from other operators with their best practices and solutions. We're going to give you immediately actionable ideas to improve your business. If you're interested, limited time, limited number, it's 15 people only, curated group. Go to restaurantrockstars.com for more information, and we hope to work with you.
There's a few. So you asked me earlier what are consumers looking for? What do guests want, and what's the state of kind of the industry? And I gave you kind of a restaurateurs, but I gave you a bit of a catering answer. I did dive into catering, but the first detail, and this is really relevant for catering, is accuracy and speed on the first order. Because if you nail the first order, the right items, the right quantities on time, you earn like almost like this figurative trust badge. And if you blow it, you almost never get a second chance because, an admin or someone who placed that catering order won't usually call and complain if it's something that is, oh, they made a little mistake. I'm just going to order from someone else next time. And you'll just never know. So you lose that relationship. So that first order, accuracy and speed, critical. And the second little piece there I want to say builds onto that, because if you give a frictionless reorder pass, then they'll find it a lot easier to come back. And catering is a game of reordering. If once you get repeat orders, your revenue from that catering relationship goes from, hey, I got a $1,000, $500 order to we're talking tens of thousands of dollars of revenue a year, right? So finding a one-time customer and turning them into a weekly or monthly or quarterly account has massive, massive returns. And it's enabled by a good follow-up. So, I mean, one of our models is book, deliver, and then rebook. It's our catering inquiry triangle. That rebook component, it's a very solid pillar of the model because the rebooking is what turns the one-time order into a real revenue generator and margin creator.
Thanks for bringing that up. I've always believed in the lifetime value of a guest. And obviously, restaurants are always seeking new business, but it's so important to recognize how much one single guest who's a raving fan that comes back multiple times, either a week or a month, and what that means to the bottom line. And if you create many of those, I mean, that's your core audience right there. And I'm really glad you brought that up because that is so important. Let's talk about online ordering and how that has created opportunity for catering.
Oh, yes.
Meat of
Big
the
time.
right? It's like,
Oh, yeah, yeah. So, I mean, catering it's a space that's before online ordering, like the ability to place a catering order was almost invisible to today's modern buyers. And I'm going to frame what that means. What I mean by that is today's demographics, you've got Gen X's, millennials, and Gen Zs that make up about 80%, 70 to 80% of the workforce today. And these are admins, office managers, team leaders, project leaders. And they're the ones actually placing the order. And most of them, if not all of them today, are digital first. They don't like to call. And I know this from my own team, and some of them are probably going to listen to this and but I'm calling them out on it. If you say, hey, did you pick up the phone to call that person about that thing? They'll be like, no, I sent them, a bunch of emails and didn't hear back. It's like, pick up the phone, here. But they don't like it. They like to click. They like to have a way to order online. And if you don't exist to this buyer segment, no matter how good your food is, it's just never going to get seen. Right?
that has become the benchmark. Like since the pandemic really created that online ordering thing, it was a must have. I can't imagine a restaurant operating without it right now. But with that comes certain challenges too, coordination and obviously professional photography to put your food in the best light, to let people know what your offerings are, and having that whole seamless thing where when they want it ordered or when they want it ready, it's got to be ready, it's got to be accurate. There's got to be checks and balances and a team that you can really trust to put it together. What are some of the other things? Let's talk about starting with, say, Rally Catering. Like, talk us through the whole process. First, tell us what it is, and then let's talk about the steps of getting your program up and running with the platform.
Yeah, sure. I'll dive into that. So Rally Catering, so we're a catering focused digital ordering platform. So we are built specifically for catering operations, not just generic restaurant ordering tool. And from a guest flow, it's pretty straightforward. So they come to your website, they find you on social, they see a catering button, or they scan a QR code, and they get taken to a clean catering menu. They answer a few questions about the order. So the date, the time, the head count, the delivery address, and then custom questions. That's one of the key things about catering, because in catering, there's some questions that every different operation will have a different variation of it, whether you want cutlery there, whether you need setup. If there's a building with security, you want to ask questions about that kind of stuff up front. So those are all there, and the rules are built in. So this is another key important part: lead times, minimums, that kind of stuff, all built into the experience. So the goal here from the guest ordering is for them to be able to see the packages, the pricing up front, make a decision before or without moving on to any other competitors and options. Because the reality is, and this is what I heard when we first started doing discovery on this, is when people place catering orders, they're typically sending inquiries to 2 to 3 caterers, and then they're going to wait to see who gets back to them first and then start to make decisions there. But with Rally Catering, there's no phone call needed, no email thread. The order lands directly in the operator's back office. Now, from the operator side, the team that's taking the intake can manage everything in one place. There's a visual dashboard with a calendar view. They could see the day's orders or the week's orders or the month's orders, and they can filter by, there's a whole bunch of different filters by date, pickup or delivery, and review production requirements at a glance, accept orders, modify orders, all of that. So another key piece here is modification with caterers. That can be done all the way up until the point of fulfillment. Usually for a typical online order, it's, hey, this is my order. And if you want to modify, there's maybe some flow there, but you might have to pick up the phone. With catering, the rate of modification is much higher. So Rally Catering is designed to be able to allow the guest to request modifications all the way up until the point of fulfillment, and for the operator to make those modifications.
And you're getting sort of, okay, I got a busy restaurant and I'm humming and I'm short staffed today and I got a couple of catering orders. Like, someone constantly monitors this, or there's some kind of a push notification letting you know, hey, there's been a last minute change here. How does that work?
The last minute, you asked a really good question. And so those little nuances are really important. So the modifications don't come in as, hey, a guest has just modified their order and now you've got to appease the modification. It actually requires an approval at any point in time. It requires the acceptance of the operator to say, hey, we can accommodate this or we can't accommodate it. One of the key metrics that we measure in Rally Catering is how many transactions, like how many back and forths does it take to have a successful end to end? And how do we minimize that as much as possible so that all the information is available up front? There's a minimal amount of back and forth because those are realities. And when you do it manually, the back and forth is your phone, your text,
You keep
your
yeah.
yeah, your emails and whatnot. And so this is one of the key success metrics of actually how Rally Catering works. So we minimize that. We make sure that control is in the right hands at all times, that the operator does have the ability to manage and control and approve certain things. So modifications fits under that category. And they can actually turn it off. They can say, hey, my rules are I don't want modifications. And we have operators that do that. They say, hey,
It's your option.
no modifications past this point. There's actually two cutoffs. There's a modifications cutoff as well as an ordering cutoff. So you can say no more modifications within 24 hours of the fulfillment.
I want to relate something important. So, upselling, suggestive selling, all these things there's certain digital ordering QR code platforms out there. Like when I travel and I'm in an airport and you're in a hurry and that kind of thing, and you scan a QR code and the menu comes up and it actually makes suggestions and things that complement what you order. Is there any of that built in? Can you use AI or do anything to sort of upsell an order when someone says, this is what I want, but then there's sort of a suggestion? Is that possible too?
Oh, yes, that is possible. In fact, it's recommended
Oh, good.
because
Yeah.
for catering orders, there's the upsell is actually quite a powerful feature for caterers because you think about, especially in corporate catering or even private events catering, it's very easy for the person making the catering order to forget, the coffee with the breakfast. We need the coffee set up. And so those are so there's some very key things that get suggested during the checkout process for Rally Catering, that when they're doing the checkout, it's like cookies, coffee, juices, drinks, maybe there's side dishes or side platters. The famous thing that establishment offers, it can get presented depending on, certain criteria during the checkout process. And it actually does boost cart size, but at the same time, it kind of saves the bacon of the guests making the order, because those are things that they'll see and they'll say, oh, I'm glad I didn't forget that, because we don't want that to turn into a modification after the fact.
You and I share a philosophy. I've always believed that technology should only enhance hospitality and not detract from it. And you're a real believer in achieving meaningful human interactions. Like you somehow built this all into the catering platform, haven't you? Like so that you feel like you're having a human experience. And even though it is digital, you're not losing the hospitality piece. Is that right?
You've got it right on, Roger. And, maybe if we had more time, I'd tell you some more war stories from back in the past of my earlier days getting into the industry. But you're exactly right. And I think you picked up on something I said earlier about technology being the tool, but that is the tool. The relationship with the customer
Mhm.
is about the food, the experience, and trust, less so about a phone tag or waiting for emails or the manual reconfirming. Those aren't necessarily relationship moments. They're potential friction points that might wear down goodwill. And when you remove those, then you can actually focus on building the relationship. And if I could give a short story,
Please.
one of my friends, Amir,
Mhm.
he's one of the local restaurateurs here in my hometown, and he has one of the most service forward operations I know. But he uses technology for in every aspect of his business. It's not obvious when you go there because you're served by people. You talk to humans, you build relationships, but he's fully digital. He trained his staff to use the technology to take away some of the friction. And hey, if people want to reorder, they can actually reorder, whether they're doing a pickup or even at the table. He's got the full catering pickup at the table. He's got the full setup, but the servers are there to actually talk about the experience, to make sure guests are all right, well taken care of. He's actually involved in building the relationship, and he gets to focus more on the conversations with his guests and actually converting the people that walk through the door into, catering clients and pickup clients, and that's what he uses technology for. And he's done a phenomenal job. He's one of the best in town.
Wow, I applaud that. That is convenience for the guest. That's efficiency, but it's also that human touch at the same time. That's great.
Oh yeah.
He's doing everything right. That's perfect. That's awesome. Let's talk about Rally Catering And what would be the typical, say, onboarding? Like you got a new client, right? Like one of my audience members hears this, is interested, they get in touch. I know I believe you've got a free demo on the website. Let's say, what is the timeline to getting up to speed so that everything is like functioning perfectly? Is it typical?
Yeah, we do have a typical, I mean, to go from, hey, I need this, I want this for my business. We've done a validation to I'm up and running. It's, 1 to 2 weeks. It can be as short as that if you're bought in and you're ready to go. We do offer the demo, and typically the demo we do it on a live video because we like to understand the businesses that we talk to and their operation. We evaluate for fit as well. We ask the questions about, what's their experience in catering, how many do they do, what's their marketing approach, how do they market themselves, what is on the website, socials, do they use those, because there's ways to leverage those, and those are some of the resources that we give away as part of our package. And as part of the packaging, we also do the full initial setup. So our goal is to de-risk it for people coming on board, both financially and from an operational perspective, and set things up for them so that everything is, in real time. They can actually manage in the dashboard, but that initial lift can sometimes be intimidating. So we kind of take care of that. We look at the menu that they already have or want for catering. We build that digitally. We set that up for them with their minimums and lead times and all that, and get them off to the races. So that's our process in a nutshell.
Do you also have a recommended, say, social media strategy? Do you help with the marketing at all that goes hand in hand with the platforms just to make sure that there's success right off the bat?
Yeah, we have a few marketing guides and tools that we use, and typically it really depends on who we're talking to. But for the most part, it's being able to leverage the website, leverage the socials, and provide the most direct way to get to the catering order. One of the things that we often see as tripping points is the catering button to do the thing is buried behind a few pages somewhere on the website, in between a paragraph and an image. And so we do analyze that, and we give a bit of we kind of do a recommendation as part of our onboarding. But we also have best practice guides and whatnot on the marketing side. Because we're a first party platform, at the end of the day, I mean, there's no commission on the catering orders. It is the brand's catering operation and catering storefront. So we want to make sure that in our process, we're able to not just hand them the tools and the blueprint, but also get them set up so they can easily manage it for themselves. And the word easily is very key. And that's part of what we've done with Rally Catering, is to make it intuitive and easy to use.
Also notice your website's offering a free downloadable guide to catering using AI. Can you tell us what we can learn from that and how it benefits someone's program?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll say this up front, Roger. At the end of the day, AI, very similar to technology, is going to be an enabler for strong operations and better processes. But it's not the whole point. And what I mean by that is the point is building a catering operation that can capture catering orders reliably, fulfill them cleanly, earn repeat business. And what AI does, it actually just helps get you there faster, and and give you coverage over some of the intimidating things, like, how do I say this? What template? What response do I build? Hey, what is the most appropriate catering friendly description for these menu items? Because it's going to be different than your dine-in restaurant. And those are some of the things that AI will help with. And those prompts on how do you get that are all in that guide. They are the caterer's guide for, I need some AI prompts to tighten up my intake, audit my menu, validate my ideal customer profile and who I'm going up. How do I create repeat orders, and what do I say to do that? Because I need to have a thank you message after each cater and invite them to cater for me again.
So the AI must also offer some sort of historical record of past client orders and that sort of thing. So you can somewhat personalize the next, interaction. Or let's talk about that. I mean, that's really, really important to, you get a new order and you want to see if they've been a past client, especially if you're not the only one doing this. If you have other team members, is there a way to sort of recognize and encourage, future business by giving that personal touch and seeing what they ordered in the past?
Yeah. So There is. And when you have it digitized, it is so much easier to see because there's a report for that. There's a place that you can go and say, hey, this person ordered from us this many times. But better yet, I'll share a short story about, because we're talking about repeatability. I like to share stories because these are just real things that have actually happened, and they take the theory and give it some perspective. One of the caterers that they're using Rally Catering, Rachel. When I first met Rachel, this was before she became one of our clients. She was doing a handful of catering orders per week, and I just remember going and sitting down at her restaurant, because she has a restaurant and she does catering, and she couldn't get an hour conversation with me without getting interrupted by people messaging about the catering order. At one point, she had to get up and actually grab a cart to the delivery person downstairs who was doing the catering delivery. And then I was extracting kind of the pains. This is way earlier in the journey. The pains of what are some of the pains of catering? And she expressed that there is so much opportunity and potential in repeat orders for caterers, and understanding the customer and giving them that level of service, where people are missing the point thinking technology is anti-relationship building, but it is not anti-relationship building if you're building the relationship and giving a frictionless way to interact with you. People buy your standards and they buy from you. And when you build that together in the package, it's so powerful. So in Rally Catering, she was actually one of the first to give that nugget to say, make sure you build repeatability. And today she is doing, this isn't that from that long ago, she's doing over 40 caterings a week. And it's because she gave her catering clients, here's the link. And in their account, there's a reorder button that saves all of your preferences and your exact order from last time. You go in the history. So when you give people that one-click reorder and say, if you need anything, I'm here. You can reach out and call me. But if you need to reorder for that quarterly board meeting, this is your easiest way to do it. I'll still pick up the phone. I'll still answer your call. And if you have some feedback from me, I'm here. But I want to give you this because I appreciate your business and I want to make it easy for you. And that's what's been just punching the orders up. 70% reorders. Exist like 70% of the catering business is from reorders.
Huge success story there. I'm glad you shared that. I mean, that's what's possible, and even more so. And it's all about the system, and you can't do it without the systems. Let's talk about the Eats. What can you tell us there?
Yeah. So you found Rally Eats somewhere on our website. So Rally Eats is a first-party digital ordering platform for pickup and on-premise ordering. So it's essentially built for operators who have catering through Rally Catering, but also want to run their own branded ordering channel for day of and on-site orders, with it all within the same system. So they want the same dashboard, the same tools that can also run their day-to-day, same-day pickup. And that's something that's actually we're seeing more common, and especially in restaurant caterers, is that they want to have a day of or a quick order offering, or even an on-premise. You scan and you pick up here, but at the same time, they want to kind of bring it all into one tool side by side with their catering offering. And then they offer a different menu for that and all that, right? So you want to create that a bit of a separation in terms of the rules, the experience. So Rally Eats is designed for that on-demand, or I want to pre-order, but I want to pre-order in the short-term ordering flow for the restaurant brand.
Well, I think you've got a tremendous platform. There's so much brain power and in this, behind the scenes, in the trenches, capabilities that you've created. And it seems like you thought of everything, like all the details are there, and you're really making it seamless and simple for someone to get into catering or to up level an existing catering operation. So that is so great, Elias. Thanks for sharing that on our show.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Roger. And there's more coming. You say you think you thought of everything, but there's more coming, and it's because we're always getting feedback and we're always evolving. But I would say for restaurants that are doing catering, we mentioned this earlier, we do have a free workbook that's just for that, right? It walks through the book, deliver, rebook framework for catering, the full cycle from first order to managing the second one and getting that repeatability. And I believe it. Will you be dropping a link to those in the show notes?
Well, we can talk about the URL right now. It's rallycatering.com/rockstars if you want more information and get the free demonstration. But we will also put that in the show notes of the episode for sure.
Awesome. Perfect. Love it. Love it.
Elias, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Keep doing what you're doing. You're offering a great service for the industry. I did catering, but I wish I had Rally Catering back then. Fantastic job. Thank you.
Thanks, Roger. Thanks for having me.
That was the Restaurant Rockstars podcast. Thank you so much, audience, for tuning in. We really appreciate you listening. Thanks to our sponsors this week, including Rally Catering. And hope you all stay well, stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next show. Catering is a powerful profit center for your restaurant. But are you still juggling catering orders through email, phone calls, and scattered messages? Guess what? Your customers notice. One missed detail, one wrong delivery, and suddenly a new or even repeat customer is ordering from your competitor. Rally Catering puts all your orders in one place, online, organized, and accurate. Your team know what to do. Your customers can order anytime. Say goodbye to chaos and say hello efficiency. Stop losing orders. Keep customers happy. Make catering simple with Rally Catering. Get a free demo at rallycatering.com/rockstars.